Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 666th edition of the Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show. I'm your host, Daniel Feuerstein. I'll give you American perspective, our clubs, leagues, players, national team, and other fabulous moments. Get your daily reading from me and other writers over at Beyond the 90 at beyondthe90.substack.com. Locally on Bad Dog Sports. That's bad. Trying to remember how it is. Bad Dog, DAWG sports.com. And that covers locally for the New York Red Bulls and New York City FC and all New York City soccer and everything else involving MLS in the country. And the chat room is open on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, if you have any questions, if you have any comments during the show, please don't hesitate to use the chat box on YouTube. Also live, I'm having a problem right now, I guess, going live on Twitter at this point in time, but that's okay. We will be using YouTube right now to have it done live. And let's see if I can go live. And nope, we're having a problem going live directly on Twitter, but that's okay because I gave the link on Twitter anyway. So just go to my Twitter page at capital letter D, capital letter F, lowercase EUER, S as in Sam, TEIN, and it will be streaming live on Twitter there. So it's exciting. We're going to have a fun show tonight. And I know I cannot wait, and I know you guys cannot wait yourselves. So it's going to be exciting and a lot of fun. But before we even get to our guests tonight, I have to tell you that being a supporter of the game, whether it be, in this country, obviously, no matter what, I support this game in this country because I want to see our players and our leagues do well, whether it be internally, domestically, with all the leagues doing well, our Open Cup tournament doing well, our national team doing well, abroad players, our players abroad, I want them to do well. I want everyone to do well associated with the game because I care, just like you guys care. And even though there are certain things that goes on outside our shores, the truth of the matter is this, is that there are some things that you must show some appreciation to. And I think as American soccer fans, that we are also fans of clubs from across the globe, whether they're from South America, from Europe, also from Mexico, and other parts around the world. We support the sport. It's a global community at the end of the day. Yes, we have to be a part of the American soccer community, but globally, when you talk to someone who's not from the United States, whether they're from our region that is from the CONCACAF region or from UEFA or CONMEBOL or from Africa or from Asia, even the Oceania islands, we have to be supportive. We have to be supportive of what we need to do to show the world that we do care about this sport. And so far, we've done a great job. But we still lack some of the amenities that the other leagues have and some of the other countries have as well. But, when we watch these documentaries, or I guess now it's considered a docuseries, and of course you all know what I'm talking about, the Welcome to Wrexham docuseries. And of course that is spearheaded by the owners of Wrexham, Canadian movie actor Ryan Reynolds and American TV actor Rob McElhenney. What these two men have done with Wrexham has been nothing short but of amazement. To get this club dying financially and dying from within their own town limits of Wrexham and Wales in 4 years. For 4 years right now, you want to say it. They climbed out of the National League, which is just below the EFL, and now they've catapulted them to the championship starting next season in the 2025-26 season. And, to give these two men credit where credit is well deserved, they put themselves in a position where they used their fandom in sports from their hometown. We all know Rob McElhenney is from Philadelphia originally. He's a big Eagles fan. He's a big Flyers fan. He's a big Sixers fan, Phillies fan. I think he's starting to become a Union fan. I'm not sure about it, but it sounds like he is supporting them in MLS. And Ryan Reynolds, now I understand, and I could be wrong, but I think he's now a part owner of the Ottawa Senators in the National Hockey League. Outside of hockey and Wrexham, I don't know if he's supporting Athletic Ottawa of the Canadian Premier League, or if he has any ownership in that. I don't know. But if he does, I'll look it up later on when the show is over. But, what they've done is nothing short but amazing. And, don't get me wrong, we have other American billionaires owning or part of ownership groups in England for these professional clubs, whether it be in the Premier League or they just got relegated to the championship or they just got re-promoted back to the Premier League. Obviously, I think it's the ownership of the San Francisco 49ers that the Leeds finally got promoted back to the Premier League for next season, and congratulations to them. But we all know that at times, these ownership groups that are American, sometimes, is it for the right reasons or is it for the wrong reasons? I would like to think it's for the right reasons, that you love the sport, that you are wanting to be a part of the game. And whether you're going to do it over there or over here, put your money where your mouth is. And I think at a time, it felt like the Glazers truly wanted to be owners of Manchester United, but the way they've gone, around things, I just think that I think they've lost the plot. Fenway Sports Group has done amazing work with Liverpool. They've won their second Premier League championship. I think Todd Bowley, who purchased Chelsea, I think he's gone about the wrong way. I think sometimes these are fellow American investors. And when I say fellow, I'm not saying, look, I have the money they have. No, I don't. But when you're American and you're perceived to be, well, you don't know the game, it's people like Bowley who don't know the game. I believe he's looking at it purely for money and what he can get out of it financially. I think the Glazers were once in it for the football, but I believe they've been more recently in it for the money. I think Fenway Sports Group has done a tremendous job with Liverpool, and they know what to do and know how to do it. So I'm happy about that. But when you have people who are basically not billionaires, and I don't know what the Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds' complete total dollar amounts are worth. I don't know if they're billionaires or trillionaires. Obviously, they're millionaires because they work hard in the industry to make movies and TV shows. Obviously, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is probably already in syndication somewhere. Maybe it's also in the FX or the Hulu streaming service that they get paid a lot of money because whoever views their shows, Rob and his fellow castmates, including Danny DeVito, they probably get a good sized chunk of that money. So, for them to just pick the right people to not only help them in running that club, but when they hired Phil Parkinson to be their manager for that club, I mean, the magic just continues to grow. And it was a good thing that they did have a little bit of a bump in the road in their very first year in the National League in English football. I think that was a good thing for them because then they set themselves up for success. And look what happened. They got out of the National League. They won that league. They go to League One in England at the EFL. I mean, they went to League Two. Excuse me. You can't go to League One that quickly. That's my bad. Sorry. They went into League Two and they did well and they got promotion, finishing in second, automatic promotion to League One. And once again, they finished second in League One as they will now get promoted to the championship. And that's going to be a much different kettle of fish for them. And then you say to yourself, and I'm thinking to myself, what would that be like here? What would that be like here? And, I've always wondered what would it be like over here if we did have promotion relegation. Now, we all know USL, United Soccer Leagues, they've already said what we want to go into bringing over promotion relegation. And while I think it's fantastic, at the same time, and I'm being honest with all of you here, without a doubt, I'm happy it's coming, but I'm still concerned. And my concern is this, and I want you to listen to me because you know how I feel about this mechanism coming into American soccer. Do I want it? Yes. Do I want it across the board? Yes. That means Major League Soccer has to be a part of it, along with NISA and any other leagues that are going to be on the professional level. And then what we can do to create something to allow NPSL, League for Clubs, and maybe even, USL League Two to become a part of it. Because once again, I am nervous. And I'm not nervous about MLS right now because, like I said, MLS, and even though I understand some of you are not happy with Major League Soccer, and look, there are certain things I'm not happy with them either. But in the reality of things, Major League Soccer, whether you like them or not, and I try to be honest with all of you. I could give you a narrative. I can give you a false narrative. I can make things up as it goes along. And I can gain as much views and clicks and listens and whatever have you. But truthfully, and I'm being truthful with you about this, very truthful with you about this. The truth is that I believe we need more clarity. And I also believe we need more common ground and common sense in this. Because if it's going to come in, but we're going to have it in a closed league, then what's the point? And as always, how I feel, stadiums meant for the game is number one to make the argument for pro-rel to be stronger and better across the board. Whether we have the 3 Canadian MLS teams joining in, like what some of these Welsh clubs do in English football, we'll see what happens there. I don't know. That's another situation. But until then, while I'm happy Pro-Rel is coming into the United Soccer Leagues and they're also building a first division league, I'm still nervous. I'm still concerned. And I just want it to be just right. Regardless of which side is better, which is the better product, that means nothing to me. If we're going to make this work, it starts from the top to the second, to the third, to the fourth, to the fifth, and so on, and so on, and so on. The health of the game matters, not for one side and one side only. The health of the game matters, period. And ladies and gentlemen, speaking about things that matter, I've got a great show for you tonight. My first guest, I saw him and his friends from Vancouver and all throughout Canada that came to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to see the second leg of the CONCACAF Champions Cup semifinals as the Vancouver Whitecaps knocked out Inter Miami 3-1 in the second leg, 5-1 on aggregate. The one and only Michael McColl from Away from the Numbers joins me right now. Michael, welcome. It's great to see you again after finally meeting you on Wednesday night with everybody else. How are you tonight?
Very good. It was nice to meet you in person. Nice to be back on the show again as well.
I'm real. No.
Yeah, me too. I
I
think
know. It's amazing.
I'm starting to doubt that anything's real now, though, with what's happening to the Whitecaps this season. This kind of feels like we're playing out a simulation right now.
It does, doesn't it? I got to tell you, watching the first leg in that semifinal match at BC Place, I thought it was a tremendous match. Great goal from Brian White to make it 1-0. And they had to really play a strong defensive game, but they had to get that second goal. They really had needed that second goal to force Inter Miami to do something different in the home leg. And Sebastian Berhalter does it again, made it 2-0. Then you come down to South Florida. And by the way, I'm glad I gave you that recommendation for that wonderful place that I told you about, Giorgio's. Don't
Very good.
worry, we're heading over there on the weekend with my wife and my mother, so I'm going to let them know that I gave you those the highly recommendation of their restaurant. But when you walked into Chase Stadium, what was your number one issue before the match got underway?
I was worried about the first 10 minutes, to be totally honest. Now, from the first leg, the two key things, you touched on, one was getting that second goal, but the most key thing was keeping Miami off the score sheet. Vancouver had to keep a clean sheet in that first leg, I felt, to have a chance. So I was worried about the first 10 minutes because I knew Miami were going to really throw everything at Vancouver. I thought if we can keep them off the score sheet for the first 10, 15 minutes, it's probably going to be a done deal. I always fancied us to score down there. Given a goal up 9 minutes in, no, I'll be honest, it was not an enjoyable first half.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. That goal happened so fast. I mean, guns a-blazing by Inter Miami. It looked like they were trying to, I would say, level the aggregate as fast as they could, just so they can try and make it a long wait against Vancouver. But I think around maybe after the first 10 minutes went by, I think they settled in, and I just saw some great attacking chances.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the chance that Sabi hit off the outside of the post, and there was a couple of other half chances. Once they settled, my nerves settled a little bit, but you always thought if Miami make it 2-2 on aggregate, it's a whole different game. Even though I always fancied Vancouver to score, you just never know. You don't want to put wind in the sails of a team like Miami. Now, they didn't perform over these two games. Part of that reason, though, and a big part of that, is Vancouver didn't let them perform. But you saw the second half against LAFC, they can just flick a switch and turn it on. But they didn't do that. And I thought Vancouver saw out the half well, got in, just one goal down. Jesper Sorensen, whatever that happened at half time, I mean, they came out a whole different team in the second half.
I think he turned on the switch. I think somehow he got into their ears and he just told them what to do. I think he was probably happy. They only conceded one and they still had the advantage. And then all of a sudden it was just, Sebastian Berhalter's tremendous passing display. And then, of course, Brian White does it again, leveled the score in the second leg, got the 2-goal advantage again on aggregate. And then 3 away goals like that was just tremendous from Vancouver. Just unbelievable. I mean, Jesper Sorensen, what have you made from this man's, tactical decisions, his game plans? I'm not trying to belittle the Whitecaps, but I think we can be honest here. Even though Vartini's had some success winning a trophy for the Whitecaps in the Canadian Championship, I mean, to me, it feels like Sorensen really glued all the pieces of the puzzle, and you can't separate it.
Yeah, he's elevated every player, even Brian White. And what he's done is he's built a team mentality. He's given them belief. He's had so many games, 19 games so far, and we're just over 2 months into the season. It's like crazy. But that has really benefited the Whitecaps because players have got minutes on a regular basis. The rotations had to happen. So every single player in that squad has had minutes, significant minutes, and they've all performed in those minutes as well. They're interchangeable. They all have bought into the new system. Now, Vanni Sartini deserves a lot of credit because he's built the foundations for this. And people should not forget winning the Canadian Championship is what's got the Whitecaps to this cup final ultimately, because that's what qualified them. But Jesper's come in, personality wise, they're almost like polar opposites. Because Vanny's like so jumpy about and like everything's out there for you to see. Jesper's your typical kind of Scandinavian, much more subdued, wicked, dry sense of humor. When you get to know him, he's got a really good sense of humor. But I think I'm always of the opinion teams represent what they see on the sidelines. So if you've got a manager that's going frantic and yelling and he's all over the place, that carries on to the team. If you've got a guy that, I mean, Jesper Sorensen does lose it and yells and shouts, but ultimately he's quite cold, not cold, but quite cool and calm. And then that transpires and translates onto the pitch, and the players are doing exactly the same thing. But it's all about the belief. Every single one of those players believes that they can go on this run and they can get the job done. And they all know that the job is not finished and they're not allowing themselves to get ahead of themselves. Speaking to them at training on Friday, once we all got back, it was all like, yeah, we'll think about the cup final in a few weeks' time. We're now focused on MLS.
Absolutely. And that's going to be on June 1st. Sunday, June 1st will be down in Mexico against Cruz Azul, and that'll be seen live on in the United States, Fox Sports 1 English, TUDN Spanish, and for all you Canadian viewers, of course, One Soccer. Michael, here it comes. Bam! How you like that?
I mean, you look at that and it's incredible. It goes back to what I joked at the start. It's like we're playing a simulation. It's like we're playing Football Manager and we've just found the key to get successes. And also, if we look back, we lost the first leg in Costa Rica, and that was just tired start to the season. They lost a goal in stoppage time, but they scored the away goal. The second leg, there was a header from Kendall Waston that didn't miss by much. And if that had gone in, the whole season could have been different. That's the small, fine margins that we're talking about. Then you look at the fact that there was Tristan Blackman's amazing stoppage time winner against Pumas that got us to that semi-final. So it's all these little things that are all coming together. It, I'm not one for destiny or fate, but sometimes in the world of football, you look at a team in a competition, league, cup, whatever, and it almost feels, yeah, their name's on the trophy. And it kind of feels that way with the Whitecaps this year.
It does. Now, I have to go back to the round of 16 match on the second leg road match. Now, obviously, the match was not played at BBVA, at Monterrey Stadium, Estadio BBVA. I think you had to play it at Santos Lagunas'
Yes.
stadium. Because why? Because Shakira took over the stadium for a concert. Now, I said this to Alexander Gange-Rujik, who was there earlier. I know you're running a little late, so I'll tell you the story because I don't mind telling you the story. See, I'm a New York Jets fan in the National Football League. Long time ago, the New York Jets were playing a game on the road against the then Los Angeles Raiders. And then, or probably they were still in Oakland. Either way, it was against the Raiders. And at that time in the United States, NBC had the game. They showed games in the American Football Conference. The Jets were leading by 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Out of nowhere, because the game never ended, NBC switched to the movie Heidi. And no one in New York saw the comeback by the Raiders on
Wow.
television. And for that reason, and what NBC did for Jet fans, that would always forever be known as the Heidi game. So we can call, or Monterey can call the away goals loss to Vancouver Whitecaps the Shakira match.
Oh yeah. But an annoying thing about that game though is like they got a penalty in stoppage time to make it 2-2, and it was never a penalty. But that penalty has kind of also cost the Whitecaps hosting the final.
Yep.
So again, it's these little things. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, that was a benefit. And they hadn't confirmed until today that where the final was going to get played. And that had everyone thinking, oh, are they maybe going to switch it to the Azteca, which would have been wonderful. I'd have loved to have seen the game at the Azteca. But it's not. It's in the University Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's not, I mean, Cruz Azul are used to playing there now, but it's not their home.
No.
It's not their permanent home. And I don't think the Whitecaps go down to that with any fear whatsoever. And they're going to go down believing they can get the win.
Now, I have to ask you this because, first of all, I was happy that you and your colleagues were flown down by the Whitecaps for the semifinal second leg. Will that also be a part of the trip to Mexico for the final on June 1st?
It's not decided yet. I think the hope is that that will happen. I mean, I'm going no matter what. But I don't know what's happening on that side. I believe the club are looking to book some charters for fans, and I don't think it's all going to be like freebies and stuff for everyone. But they want to get people down there. They want to get people covering it. They want to get people supporting the team. We had over 300 folk down in Fort Lauderdale. I will say, I won't call it Miami. In Fort Lauderdale on Wednesday night, and they were loud, and everyone that was there, it's just such a special moment, and no one's going to forget that. And now, if they can get 5, 6, 700 fans to make the trip, it's going to be even more special.
It really will be. And it's amazing. Vancouver now does the trifecta. It's all complete. Montreal had the first shot, fell. Toronto FC had the second shot, fell. Now Vancouver's in it for the first time in its history, and you're the third MLS Canadian club to get to the CONCACAF Champions Cup or Champions League final. Look, anything is possible. I agree with you. But what do you feel the Whitecaps need to do against Cruz Azul? Have you seen any of their matches during One Soccer's coverage of the Champions Cup? What do you think Sorensen needs to do to get that trophy back to British Columbia, Canada?
I mean, I've seen their game against Seattle. I saw the highlights of the first leg against Tigres, because I had totally forgotten that the game was on the Wednesday because we were at Miami's pre-match training. But then I watched the second leg. They were the better team. They deserved to go through. They look dangerous. They look physical, but they also look like a team that Vancouver's got the pace. They've got so much that can really cause damage. The Whitecaps will be missing Sebastian Berhalter, and he was phenomenal in the second half on Wednesday against Miami. He knew he was going to be suspended by that point, so for him, that was his cup final. He went out there and said, this second half's my cup final. I'm not going to play in the final, but I'm going to get the boys there. And he's going to be a big loss. And if you'd said 2 years ago, oh, you're going to be going into a cup final and you're really going to be missing Sebastian Berhalter, you'd have been like, oh, that's very strange. But he has just grown year upon year. And there's lots of this chatter now that he'll be in the Gold Cup squad in the summer for the US, and he deserves to be. He's having a great season.
He is. He
We're
really,
missing
really
him.
is.
So then it's next man up. And that next man up's probably going to be Ralph Priso or JC and Gando. And both of them have come in and have looked really solid in the middle of the park. So I'm confident we can go down there and get it done. The only thing to caution, and I mentioned this on our show that we put out yesterday, we've played 12 games against Mexican opposition, but we've only ever actually won one game. We've won 2 series, but we've only ever beat Tijuana, and that was in the League's Cup, and that was at BC Place. So
Mm-hmm.
we've never won in Mexico, and we've never beaten a big Mexican team. So if they're going to make history, they're going to do it in style.
Exactly. And this really feels like this is their opportunity to do it. I know Montreal fell to Club America, Toronto fell to Guadalajara Chivas, but now you have an opportunity to take out Cruz Azul. And not saying that they're pushovers, I don't think they are. And we all know these Mexican League club teams, they don't want to be humiliated on their own soil. We know that for a fact, but to me, it just feels like maybe this is it. Maybe it is the Whitecaps' time to unlock that mystery, to finally get that result. Oh, excuse me, to get that result and hoist the Champions Cup trophy over your heads, maybe.
I mean, it would be wonderful. And when you look at what that opens up, it opens up the Intercontinental Cup in December. It opens up the Club World Cup in 2029. You've got eyes on the team. Like, if you're qualifying for those competitions, all of a sudden, players that you're talking to for the summer transfer window are a lot more interested. And going into like way ahead in 2029, you're talking about way better quality players will look to come in. But also with the club being up for sale, you've got people that will be interested and say, well, look what this team's doing. Look at the fans turnout. Yeah, we want to buy this team. We want to keep it in Vancouver, and we want to grow the base that Jesper Sonson has now set.
Absolutely, Michael. Uh, Thank you very much for your time, as always. Good luck to you the rest of the season in MLS, and good luck to you down in Mexico when the Whitecaps take on Cruz Azul. It should be exciting and a lot of fun. Hey, listen, don't drink the water. No, I'm just
No, and don't eat the food beforehand. I think Columbus learned the hard way last year.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Michael, thank you again. I appreciate it.
Cheers.
Cheers. Michael McColl from Away from the Numbers in Vancouver, as the Whitecaps are going to finish up with MLS, of course, and they're going to take on the Cruz Azul Club down in Mexico for the CONCACAF Champions Cup Final. Joining me now, not only is a colleague of mine covering the New York Red Bulls, but he also helps out with the Cup.us. We're going to preview the 4th round of the 2025 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. My colleague and my friend, Michael Batista, joining me tonight. Michael, good evening. There you go. It better be a Red Bull, mister. That better be a Red Bull.
They don't pay me enough for that.
That's very true. Unfair doesn't pay enough for all of us to do that. So, Michael, welcome to the show for the first time in the new format. How you like it so far?
No, it's good. I love StreamYard. This looks great.
Thank you. Thank you. And listen, you're going to love even more about this. But, before we even get to the good stuff, obviously, first 3 rounds of this year's Open Cup, what have you seen that you've enjoyed up to this point?
I really love the fact that we've had a New England Derby every round. I think that's been phenomenal. Portland Hearts has been a fun story in their first year. El Farolito, of course, was a fun team once again. Although this year I was like, man, I really wish they didn't beat Motown in the PSL final. But of course, they were fun to watch. Outside of that, it felt like there was a diminished return in amateur teams like winning because last year we had Foro SC, we had Lubbock Matadors. We had a bunch of teams just pop off, but this year it felt like it was more about the USL League One teams and like the USL Championship teams, which is fine. You know, the Miami FC beat Inter Miami too. So it's, I would say it was different. I would say it's not as good as last year, but there were some really good stories when you looked at them.
I will say this. I thought New Jersey Alliance FC was going to upset the Red Wolves of Chattanooga. I really thought they were going to do it, and unfortunately, they fell in the penalties. But still, though, if they did win, we wouldn't have gotten that great Chattanooga derby in the second round.
I will say that was my dark horse pick in the first round, and I was close on it. I said that Alliance was going to beat Red Wolves, and I was very close on it. I'm surprised Red Wolves are still playing, to be perfectly honest with you. I am upset that they won that game against Chattanooga FC, and I have no qualms about saying that. However, it was a phenomenal night for soccer. It was a great atmosphere. The wrong team won, but it was great.
I know. When you think about, the darlings of lower level soccer, it's obviously Chattanooga FC, and, playing at Finley Stadium, that's the home of University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. You would think they would be the ones to move on to the third round, but that didn't happen.
It was a good week for Chattanooga too, because they won the NIT the next day.
Exactly.
But I'll say, like, the darlings of U.S. soccer have been who? Like Chattanooga, Detroit, Detroit City. You've had Minneapolis City SC. But like, who's alive right now? It's Detroit City. They're still alive, and they're still kicking right now, and they have a date with an MLS team. So, you still see those darlings grow from the days of big soccer and being angry. They're still around.
No, they are. I will say this though. No offense to Detroit City, I was really pulling for Westchester SC. Because they play over in Mount Vernon at the Memorial Stadium in Westchester County. I really, really thought they were going to pull off an upset. I still feel I don't know, that penalty to me. I just felt like it wasn't a real penalty. I didn't think it should have been called, but look, it was. Nothing you can do about it, and off you go. And what are you going to do?
Let me see something real quick. I just want to see the USL League One standings right now, because I have not been keeping up. So, like, Westchester, they're doing very much what an expansion team's doing this year. Like, they've got one win in 5 games. And I think I saw in, like, Jägermeister Cup, they lost their game in there too. So what I'll say is that, like, they did exactly what an expansion team should do in the Open Cup. They won a couple games, but all they did was beat amateur teams. There's nothing wrong with that. They beat Motown. They beat New York Prince of Green Freedoms. Both very well-respected, talented amateur teams in that regard. Both teams that have beat professional teams in the Open Cup. But, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. They followed the script. Losing to Detroit City is no issue, because Detroit City beats MLS teams.
Yep.
So you could say all you want about the penalty. Like, you could say Westchester was like outplayed in that game.
No, they were.
And it was clear who the better team was. They had nothing to like be upset about. Like, at the end of the day, they got the exposure they wanted. So, hopefully I was hoping they could take some of that momentum into the season. Doesn't look like it's happening, but still early. Well, it's not early, but there's still a lot of time in the season left. So we'll see what happens with it. But besides that, Detroit City, it's very hard to beat a team at Keyworth.
No, it really is. Keyworth is a fortress. No matter how small it still is a dangerous place for the home team. And look, if you're going to pull a point out of there, or the full 3 points, congratulations. Put in your hip pocket and run home. That's all you can do. Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and, before we preview these matches for the fourth round, what is your overall opinion of how CBS Sports has started their official coverage of the Open Cup from the third round, going from the third round draw up to the fourth round draw on CBS Sports Golazo Network, Paramount Plus app and website, as well as CBS Sports Network on television?
So I will be perfectly frank with you. I have not been able to watch as many of the games because I've been helping so much with the Cup.us, like with all that stuff. So it's a lot of times I don't get to watch the games themselves. But I will say that the content I was able to watch was, wow, they've really expanded the content, the coverage outside of the games, the whip around show, the pre-games, the draw, all of that is phenomenal. It reminds me back when ESPN had the TV deal and Football America had the show. Like Sebastian Herc would just do the Open Cup coverage. And I was like, this is great. This is awesome. And then ESPN lost the deal, so they couldn't do it anymore. So, to see that sort of style come back is great. I was hoping that if Apple TV picked up the deal, because we saw them do it last year, they were going to do something similar. No, and the coverage I saw the El Farolito game versus Sacramento Republic. That was on CBS Sports Network. It looked
Yes,
great.
it was. Yep.
I will say that it had its it looked better. It looked better than MLS games do on Fox, because you remember the 240p games on Fox, and I don't know why it was able to look that good, but it's just they've put the money in it. I don't know if it's the same sort of setup they have for the USL games. It would make sense because those games generally look pretty good. So overall, yeah, I've been pretty happy for what I've seen. I will say, I think the draw being kind of convoluted and it wasn't presented super well for people who don't understand the Open Cup. I will say they could have done a better job with that. But that's just because the Open Cup draw is kind of confusing. But I do like that they put it on, Golazo instead of having just a random YouTube stream.
Exactly. I agree with you. I think it was fantastic. It was there. I mean, look, we all know what's going to happen. They're going to select the matchups regionally. The draw was more for who's going to be having the hosting rights for the 5th round. If whoever wins, what are we going to do? It's just, what are you going to do, Michael?
Well,
I mean, look,
it's a regional draw except for the Red Bulls.
Exactly. So that's why they're over in Colorado Springs for Tuesday night. And by the way, if you are a Red Bull supporter, Tuesday night, CBS Sports Golazo Network, they'll be at Colorado Springs Switchbacks. And I know Joe Malfa will be on the call for that one. We'll find out on the broadcast who his analyst will be. But other than that, what I like about the whole thing from the 3rd round, when the first match on the first day, before the first match got underway, and I forgot who it was. I think it was Portland Hearts of Pine and Rhode Island FC.
I think you're right.
They had Nate Bukaty, Tony Miola, Charlie Davies, and Mike Grella on a pregame show before the actual game got underway. They spent half an hour before the game actually got started. That really blew my mind, and I was so thrilled to see that. I was so thrilled.
I like that too. I think that it's something that you'll take for granted, that you don't really understand how good it is until you've had to sit through Open Cup games on Twitch.tv and USsoccer.com and radio broadcasts. So to see that is that's a very nice step up. It's always going to be tough though for those early games because it's hard to do pregame analysis of teams that no one knows anything about. So what in that last round where it's you can't do that for the first round because, no offense, you can't do that sort of preseason. You can't do that sort of analyst coverage of a PSL and USASA teams. It's even I can't. So they did a good job of bringing it in at that point. So I respect that. You can't do it in the entire tournament. So just do it when you can.
Exactly. I agree with you. Okay, let's go ahead and preview the 4th round of the Open Cup. Day 1. Are you ready, Michael?
Yep.
How you like that?
That's slick. That's very slick.
Thank you very much. Of course, we have the start times and where you can watch it. Once again, you can watch it streaming on the Paramount Plus app or website, or you go to PlutoTV.com for free for the Galazzo Network matches. And of course, linear television, if you have it, CBS Sports Network. So let's go ahead. North Carolina FC and Charlotte FC over at Wake Med Soccer Park. What do you think about that one?
Wow, it's the game of Steve Malik and the guy Steve Malik wishes he could be. No, I'm never gonna forget being an NASL intern in 2017, and this man just openly like putting on Twitter his Twitter bio of like North Carolina FC to MLS, and I'm like, bro, it's not. Come on. So it's just seeing this game. It's like, oh yeah, you're. It's just very funny to me. But it's also good because North Carolina was a USL League One team 2 years ago, back in the championship. I forget how they did last season, but having a game against Charlotte FC is great for them. They're hosting, so this is gonna be a fun time at Wake Med, the home of TST.
Absolutely, it should be a lot of fun. I think this is for Charleston Battery supporters that they've been munching on for a while. They've been wanting revenge for that 2008 final against DC United at RFK Stadium. And I will still say this. I still contend that the second goal that Charleston scored got wiped out for an offside flag. And this is, of course, well before VAR was ever conceived. I still claim that goal was not offside. It was an onside goal that should have counted, but the flag went up anyway. But I still contend it should have been a 2-2, and they should have gone to extra time on that one. But that's just me, of course.
I mean, they're tearing down RFK finally, so maybe the ghosts and the curses of that game are finally going to go away.
Maybe so.
But hey, it's the Coffee Pot Derby. This is a classic game in MLS in Open Cup lore.
It really, really is. And this one, this one, you got to finally say, maybe everyone inside the state of Tennessee has been itching for this.
No.
Nashville hosting Chattanooga Red Wolves. We already talked about, we know Chattanooga FC should have been the ones, but look, they got to travel to Geodis Park over in Nashville, and this is going to be a good one.
This is there's so much. This game is so deep with useless soccer lore, like the fact that Nashville is a former NPSL team if you dig hard enough, and that they used to play against Chattanooga FC. That Red Wolves, their eternal rival is Chattanooga FC, and it's just like I love this game, but I will very much contend that. No one was itching for this game, but it's happening. I will say that give me 1 second.
Take your time. Get your notes.
There's a former Red Bull 2 player on Chattanooga Red Wolves who's also former Motown. Give me 1 second. Okay. Michael Knapp, that's right.
Yep.
So I'm gonna root for Michael Knapp in this one and just hope for chaos. But at the end of the day, this is a very weird game that I'm sure is going to go exactly how it's supposed to go.
Say it like Shep does. Chaos. Chaos. Yep. No, I hear you. It should be. It should be a fun one, that's for sure. It really should be a fun one. We'll see what happens, but the one thing I will say this, and we'll get to the Red Bulls in a moment. I want to go to Tacoma Defiance and Portland Timbers. When the Defiance beat Oakland Roots 2-1 in extra time, I kind of felt bad for Cody Baker, and I'll tell you why. I felt bad for him because Look, did he initiate the contact? Yes. I mean, the referee gave him his second yellow and sent him off because the Oakland player that he bumped into the I forget his name. I know it's a long name. I forget it though. But the Oakland player threw a right elbow in his head. I mean, he connected very, very minimally, but he still threw the elbow. And I thought he should have been the one booked or sent off because that's violent conduct. Yet Brady's the one who got thrown out on second yellow and into the red card suspension. He'll be missing this matchup against Tacoma. I mean, he'll be missing for Tacoma against Portland. But I don't know if you saw that one or not. But I just thought that the Open Cup adjudication department probably should have rescinded that. That's how I feel.
I'll take your word for it. It's funny too because I was just double checking because I feel like this is a funny game because I remember in my study of Open Cup in 2015, Seattle Sounders FC2, which is what they were called at the time, played Portland Timbers 2 in the Open Cup because back then the reserve teams were allowed before they were allowed, this time. But, to see, and then I think in 2014, like you saw Portland Timbers, like U23 and Portland Timbers 2, like take part in the tournament. So to see these, to see this mini Cascadia Cup, it's very fun to me that we can have these this is at Starfire Park too, which is like hollowed Open Cup ground. It doesn't matter who's playing. Portland has a tendency to lose against open division teams, or I'm sorry, lower division teams. We know the history with Cal FC and Eric Winalda. So I would not be surprised if they lose this game. I don't know why, but I just wouldn't be. Just cause.
Yeah. No, we'll see what happens. And of course, once again, the New York Red Bulls on the road against Colorado Springs Switchbacks. The defending USL Championship winners against the currently defending Eastern Conference champions in the New York Red Bulls. How are you seeing this one? Do you feel, I mean, I don't want to say it, but do you feel this is the one that could be the cup set?
It definitely could be. It could be a new Crystal Palace. It could be a new team to join Crystal Palace, Baltimore, Wilmington, or City Islanders, the New York Cosmos. The glorious history of Red Bulls losing the lower division. I will say that I spoke to Sandro for an article that went out on US Soccer yesterday. And the way he speaks about it is he has a lot of reverence for teams like Colorado Springs because of his team time in Russia, because of his growing up in East Germany or in West Germany. And I'll say that he understands what these lower division teams are going through emotionally. So I don't think he's taking that for granted at all. Even with a depleted offense and the team that can't score in the final third, they should still beat a team that no longer has Speedy Williams. It doesn't have a good defense. I think Red Bulls are going to win this 2-0 personally. If they do lose, I got nothing.
You also forgot the Staten Island Vipers back in 1999. They lost to them like 3-2 in extra time.
You are right. Yes,
Yep.
They did lose to them. So,
And,
did they ever lose to the Rhinos?
No.
I don't think so.
No, they beat them 1-0 and Sasha scored the penalty.
I'll believe you on that. Yeah, okay. Yeah. But no, the Red Bulls have a really good history of losing overtime games or losing to lower league teams.
No, exactly. And also for Colorado Springs, they also lost Ronaldo Damas to Birmingham Legion. So he was a part of that USL Championship title side from last year. So yeah, that's going to be a big loss for them as well. We'll see what happens, but as always, it should be a fun one. Now we go to the jammed-packed Day 2, Wednesday, May the 7th, and here we go, Michael.
Oh, Jesus!
I look. I'm not the one that did this. Don't look at me. U.S. Soccer's the one
why,
that did it.
why are we
They made the schedule, not me.
Why are
I
you
don't do
cramming
this.
everything on one day?
I know. I was like, what the hell's going on here? Why are you cramming like 5 on Tuesday and the rest of it on Wednesday? I mean, this is ridiculous.
Just make it 3 days.
Exactly. Make it
Yeah.
3 days. I couldn't believe it when I'm looking to see, what time, who's hosting, and like, are you kidding me? It's like all these games are going to be on Wednesday. The rest of it, are you crazy? Whatever. Look, there it is. There's nothing I can say or do. There it is. First one off the bat, Pittsburgh Riverhounds, New York City FC. It's a Bob Lilly team. I don't have to tell you that much about Bob Lilly. He's one of those top managers in lower level soccer, taking on New York City FC. How do you think this one's going to go?
400 wins, which is like 70 more than Bruce Arena has, which he's like as the most winningest coach in MLS. So just think about that. It's gonna go NYCFC's way, even though they struggle. If Alonso Martinez starts, it's not gonna be a problem. The issue is I don't know what their rotation's gonna be, because the Riverhounds' biggest issue right now is their offense is nothing. Everyone, I think they've scored 6 or 5 goals this year. Danny Griffin has scored 2 of them, and the rest come from random people. So they got nothing that's surprised. They've got no offense. I would say NYCFC should get this, even with their inconsistent form. Should be a fun night at Highmark, though. Shout out to my friend CJ Qureshi, who's going to have a lot of fun covering that one.
Oh, yes, he will. And I think Kennardo Forbes retired, so I think that's also a big negative on Pittsburgh. So we'll see what happens on Wednesday night. That'll be on Paramount Plus as well as CBS Sports Network. And then the 7:30 matches, Philadelphia Union hosting in Indy 11. So far, all you can say is Bradley Carnell's, I guess he's found the magic formula again for Philly. We'll see what he does next season, but I don't know. Philly has always been the bridesmaid, but never the bride when it comes to the Open Cup or even for MLS Cup for that matter. What we see with this one?
I mean, last year was Indy 11 Cinderella run. It's mean to say I don't think it happens because what did they have last year that they don't this year? Philly is a supporter shield contending team right now, so. As much as I like, Callum Chapman-Page over on Indy, I can't, in good conscience, think they're going to beat Philly at Subaru.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Subaru's been a really tough place to play for anybody. It doesn't matter if it's MLS or any of these teams that are going to be in the lower levels playing in Open Cup matches down there. It's going to be a hard-fought one, and usually Philly comes out on top. And now, finally, the hat trick of all hat tricks, Michael, in the New England Derbies series. Rhode Island FC hosting New England Revolution in their brand new stadium. What are we feeling on this one? And did you see the pictures? Did you see the game? I mean, filled to the hilt this past weekend.
I actually did not. I have to go out of my way to look at some of those yet. I've only just heard things about it. No, this is a great time for them. Coming off of a USL Championship final appearance, coming off of a lot of growth in their opening season, which, ended in the Open Cup against Charlotte. To see them, finally play New England in the Open Cup, it's huge for them. So it should be a packed house we've had New England derbies in every round. So to have this one be the creme de la creme, it feels like, whether you were CD Firenze, whether you're Portland Hearts of Pine, whether you're Hartford, whether you're, Rhode Island, you all were just playing each other to finally get to New England. So glad we got here.
No, absolutely. This is going to be exciting. This is one of those games I can't wait for on Wednesday night. The Battle of Interstate 4, or I'll be honest, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but if you are, congratulations. Tampa Bay, Orlando, those two cities hate each other with a passion. Doesn't matter what sport it is. I don't know if you remember the Arena Football League with the Tampa Bay Storm and the Orlando Predators. That's a battle Tampa Bay Rowdies hosting Orlando City. How are we feeling? I know the Rowdies look a little depleted, but you think because it's a derby, it's going to be a big matchup here?
With the news that Al Lang might be getting torn down,
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't care who wins this game. I just want this to be a really good night at Al Lang. This just, shame on the local government, shame on the Tampa Bay Ray owners for like doing what they're trying to do down there. So we, no offense, we know Orlando's going to win this. I hope it's a good game, but we need to see a good showing out there. Even I will say that as much as Orlando City hates Tampa Bay, and I mean they hate them,
and vice versa.
There's stories I heard about people with prosthetic legs getting chased down with them, just stuff like that. So
they're all true.
But even they would not want to see Al Lang torn down just because it's that magical of a place. So hopefully it's a good night.
Yep, and of course, unfortunately, they reached that final in USL Championship, but lost to Orange County SC. So, yep, I know. Trust me, I know. Hopefully, something can be corrected. We'll have to wait and see. The final 7:30 p.m. matchup: Louisville City taking on Minnesota United FC, and Lynn Family Stadium has been pretty good as a fortress for Louisville City. They've done some amazing things over there.
This feels like an NASL game. I don't know why. This just feels like NASL. Like it just because, I will never think of Minnesota as an MLS team fully. No, nothing against them. I'm always going to think of them as that lower division team that got promoted. So, them playing at Lynn just feels very much like, I'm about to turn on BN Sports.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. That's what it definitely feels like to me too. Now we have the 8:00 games. Greg Berhalter back in the Open Cup as the head coach of the Chicago Fire. They're going to host Detroit City FC. It doesn't matter really what sport it is. Chicago and Detroit are hated enemies against each other. Red Wings, Blackhawks, Bears, Lions, Tigers, White Sox, Pistons, Bulls. Now for the first time, Detroit City and Chicago Fire over at Soldier Field. How are we feeling for this one?
Is this the first time they've ever met?
I believe so. I could be wrong. You can double check, but I think this is the first time they've met.
You're probably right. I'm just for some reason my brain's telling me that they.
No, listen. Look, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and occasionally I can be wrong.
But regardless, I'll say that Chicago's cooled down a bit, so they're not the hottest team in MLS anymore. You can't have every game at Keyworth, and that's a shame because I feel like Soldier Field's not going to be sold for this game.
Right. I'm sorry. That's my bad. I just remembered. Nope, it won't be at Soldier Field. It'll be at SeatGeek Stadium in Bridgeview. That's my bad. I keep forgetting they use Bridgeview for the Open Cup games. Yeah.
Oh, okay. We're back to the classics at this point. All right.
Yes.
That changes everything. That's a better confinement. No, it should be a good one. It should be an absolutely fun game. Detroit's going to send all their supporters over, so it's gonna be good.
Yeah. It should be a fun one. I really think it's going to be a great one. One of those cross-country matchups. FC Dallas will be hosting, I think, a surprise in the Open Cup. I know they've been a little slow in League One play, but AV Alta FC, to me, in Open Cup play, has really been fantastic. They've really done amazing things from the first round all the way up to this point.
No, definitely. It was all those games at Lancaster Stadium, which is a former baseball stadium, if I remember reading. It's and they've been getting good crowds, like a couple thousand each game. So now they finally get to play FC Dallas. I think it's fine that they're on the road for this game too, because they've been having a lot of home games too. it should be good, especially because Dallas has been kind of weird this season, if I remember correctly. I don't really watch the West Coast, I'll be perfectly honest, but if I remember correctly, Dallas has been very weird. So, you don't. I'm not going to count them out. This game could definitely go to extra time, but I will say Dallas is probably going to overpower them at the end. But it's going to be a very good experience for them.
Yep, it really will be, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen there. St. Louis City SC hosting Union Omaha, the defending USL League One champions. I know last time these two sides met, I think St. Louis beat up on Union Omaha. I don't know. I just got this funny feeling. I feel like Union Omaha might get revenge here, but I could be wrong. Still, though, this should be a fun matchup.
Is Union Omaha going to score the winning goal with under 2 seconds to go?
They might. They might. I have a
They might send the game to extra time and then win it with a goal in overtime. St. Louis might just spiral even further as a city. No, this is a great one. Union Omaha is always going to be the little cup setters as they are. So, I won't even pick this game because I don't even know what to think about them because they always just seem to find ways. They got to the quarterfinals like in their first year. So,
yep. Well, we'll see what happens on that one. 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. Another Texas derby. We got Austin FC against USL Championships El Paso Locomotive, and that is head coached El Paso by Wilmer Cabrera Sr. and his son, Wilmer Cabrera Jr., who got the equalizer and the winning penalty against New Mexico United in the last round.
Is this the first time match in the Open Cup?
I believe so.
See, this is the type of stuff that we want because it's an all Texas derby. This is the game that El Paso always lost. I feel like they don't usually get those Texas games because they usually get drawn out west to go play Phoenix or to go play New Mexico or to go play maybe even Real Salt Lake because they're that close. So they want this Texas game. This is the stuff that their fans live for. This is perfect.
Absolutely. And finally, we got the last two games on the nightcap at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. Phoenix Rising hosting the Houston Dynamo, and that'll be seen also on CBS Sports Network. And then San Jose Earthquakes under Bruce Arena taking on Sacramento Republic, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, CBS Sports Galazo Network. Phoenix, Houston, how you liking that one?
It's John Fisher versus city that John Fisher plays in. No, that's gonna be a good one. Last year we had Oakland versus San Jose, so to have another Earthquakes game against a USL darling, that's great. I'm not a fan that they keep getting the hosting gig because if any team should be on the road, it's San Jose. Mm-hmm. That's just my opinion because nothing wrong with PayPal Park. It's just that in terms of teams that just morally should be on the road, it's San Jose. Besides that, though, no qualm with Dynamo Phoenix. I'm going to be honest, that's kind of a weird one because it's exciting, but it's kind of just, it almost just kind of blends in with everything else, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Right. Yeah, of course. Oh, we'll see what happens there. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, you can watch every Open Cup match online at the Paramount Plus app or website, or you can go to PlutoTV.com for free to watch the matches on CBS Sports Galazo Network, or go linear with your CBS Sports Network to catch all your U.S. Open Cup matches through CBS Sports. Michael, anything else you want to add with this Open Cup matchups this Tuesday and Wednesday?
I got nothing. No, it's a packed slate, and I'm excited.
Same here. I'm very excited. I can't wait. Real quick before I let you go, let us know where we can read your stuff for New York Red Bulls, New York City FC, and anything soccer related in America.
You can catch me on thecup.us, New York Sports Nation, Hudson River Blue, and US Soccer.
All right. Michael, thank you again for joining me tonight. Hope to have you back on again soon, and you have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
No problem. Once again, that's Michael Batista, multi-talented writer at multiple websites. Once again, from the Cup.us, New York Sports Nation, Hudson River Blue, and US Soccer as well. This is exciting. This is a lot of fun. And once again, you can catch everything US Open Cup involving CBS Sports through Paramount Plus website and app, CBS Sports Golazo Network on live at PlutoTV.com, and of course, CBS Sports Network. Check your local cable or satellite provider to see where you can watch that from. This is fun. This is great, and cannot wait. I cannot wait for this upcoming Tuesday night, Wednesday night for Open Cup action. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, it will be another Open Cup night across America. Get ready, have some fun. And of course, I'll be live tweeting most of these games. When it comes to the New York Red Bulls, I'll be watching that one intently. So I'll try to keep up with the other games that which would probably be the 8:00 game. I'll probably be through whatever happens there till 9:30. And then, of course, the CBS Sports Network one with Tacoma and Portland. I'll try and catch that as much as I can, but I'll mostly be live tweeting the entire match between the New York Red Bulls when they travel, which they're there already, against the Colorado Springs Switchbacks. And once again, for those who are New York Red Bull supporters, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Mountain, and that will be on CBS Sports Golazo Network at Widener Field in downtown Colorado Springs. And now, speaking about the New York Red Bulls, it's time to talk about them at this point in time. And here we go. Their first last weekend, 2 weekends ago, I should say, they were at home against Club de Foot Montreal, CF Montreal, as they defeated them by 1-0. Noah Ayla with the goal in the match, his first New York Red Bull goal, his first MLS goal, scores it in the 67th minute off a great corner delivered from the near side from Omar Valencia, and he headed it inside the far post to make it 1-0 in the second half. But other than that, it was really a troubling game. Just nothing was working right in the final third. And from that point on, in that one, while they got the 3 points, that's the most important thing, it was really a tough watch. They probably should have gotten more than just a goal. And even though Montreal has looked to play better under their new head coach, the truth is they just couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. But still, though, they were dangerous. They brought the ball up very well, and they were attacking. So all I can really tell you is that this is a situation where you just got to be extra careful when you play a team like that that's chippy, plucky, and they want to take you down. But even though they didn't put the ball in the back of the net, still, though, that should not have been a 1-0 scoreline. At least 2 or 3 goals to nil for the New York Red Bulls. Not convincing, but not that bad. So I would say right now they had a decent game. Still plenty of things to work on, but it was still a decent game. But the one that was troubling was this past weekend, and I was there at Chase Stadium as the New York Red Bulls were on the road to take on Inter Miami and facing Lionel Messi and his friends. As you can see, the New York Red Bulls, if you watch that match, just poor defending in the back line, just giving them way too much space. And even though at times I thought they weathered the storm before they got scored on by Fafa Picoult, the defender, I think it was either Sean Nealis or it was, I think, trying to remember who, because I know it wasn't Cameron Harper. Kyle Duncan it was. He had the ball along the end line on the near side, and he got stripped. And that allowed for Inter Miami to get the first goal of the match by Fafa Picoult, who had plenty of room, headed it in. He just powered that in, roofed it, made it 1-0 for Miami. And then it was basically all Miami all the time, unfortunately. taking advantage of poor defensive play by the Red Bulls. And once again, there was a moment where Marcelo Wiegand originally was offside, but on the replays, and VAR also called the referee over, Wiegand was not in an offside position as he scored to make it 2-0. Now, the original shot was stopped by Carlos Coronel. Unfortunately, left a rebound because he didn't know where the ball was, and Wiegand just tapped it in and made it 2-0. And then, of course, the third goal, good block by Kyle Duncan to stop Luis Suarez's shot. Unfortunately, had no help. And Suarez was able to get a second opportunity, scored it to make it 3-0. And it looked like it was done and dusted, even though Red Bulls did get a goal back from Mohamed Sofo, his second goal of the season. Great corner delivered by, once again, Omar Valencia from the far corner. He curled it. He crossed it towards the front post, or the back post, I should say, because it's coming from the far side, but around the near post. And originally I thought Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting converted the goal to make it 3-1, but he missed on replay. He missed. So it was Mohamed Sofo who headed it just inside the far post to make it 3-1. And they did try to get that second goal. Unfortunately, they just could not make the proper adjustments to score that second goal. Then Lionel Messi got his goal to make it 4-1. And this one was really done and dusted. Just individual mistakes in the back line. And it's just really a terrible loss against Inter Miami. Basically, many people thought Javier Mascherano was going to give Messi and Suarez a rest here because they played the full 90 minutes in the Champions Cup semifinal second leg match. Not so. Got them back out there, and the result is they're back on winning ways, back on winning terms, and they win it by a final of 4-1. Just frustration from the Red Bulls, but the truth is that just the mistakes, the flatness of how they performed in that first half just was not good enough. And hopefully for the Red Bulls, going on the road, which they haven't had a win yet, but if they can go on the road, get a win against Colorado Springs, even though, yes, I know it's a lower division club, second division and USL Championship. Still, though, the point is this. If they can get a victory over Colorado Springs, hopefully that confidence will be brought back for their road performance and their road form, and that they can find a way to move back to where they should be. So that's all you can really say about what's going on here. Sandro, absolutely frustrated. Emil Forsberg felt he was, saw some frustration, but still, though, you just have to say that for the Red Bulls, look, it just has to be better. It just has to be better, not just at the Sports Illustrated Stadium, but also on the road. So once again, this week, Tuesday night, tomorrow night at 9:30 Eastern, 7:30 Mountain, they'll be facing the Colorado Springs Switchbacks in round 4 of the U.S. Open Cup at Widener Field. And then they come back to Sports Illustrated Stadium this coming Saturday for somewhat of a revenge match in the regular season against the defending MLS Cup champion Los Angeles Galaxy. And that's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Apple TV on the MLS Season Pass. And before I go, reading comments and tweets on X from some of you talking about content creators. Now, granted, yes, this is content creating. I will not sugarcoat it. This is content creating. I'm doing this as well. I've been doing this for a long time. Podcasts, now video casts, live audio streaming, whatever I've been doing. I've done it soccer-wise, NFL-wise. I try not to toot my own horn too much. I have been in the sports news industry as a professional, and I guess now as a content creator for a very, very long time, since December of 1999, working at the Phoenix Communications Group. That was once around in South Hackensack, New Jersey. Now has not been there for at least over a decade, maybe even 2 decades plus now, which is really a shame. They were the original creators of the This Week in Baseball show, originally with Mel Allen, and Hockey Week, which was seen on, at the time, I guess you can call it Sports Channel, which would be later on Fox Sports Net, now FanDuel Sportsnet and all that stuff. Back in the day, sponsored by either Brute Cologne for men or Aftershave, I think it is, and deodorant, which was also at the time Power Stick. So, they were Major League Baseball Productions, NHL Productions, and my department was the Sports News Satellite Division, and I worked there. And I love talking about when I did the entire 2002 World Cup for them, sending highlights to both NBC and CBS affiliates across the United States, and also at the Score for Canada. So, reading some of your tweets, obviously, in 1 second. Reading your tweets, seeing how you're getting very upset, some of you, of some of the content creators, make talking about the situation, Greg Berhalter this, Greg Berhalter that. And, look, I've had my spat with Greg Berhalter as well. I don't bring it up every single time I come on my show, because the truth is, what I try to give you, what I try to give you guys, I try to give you the content you want. American soccer news, depending on which clubs, in which leagues, on this show, whether it be on my old Blog Talk Radio show or now here on StreamYard, I am here to give you the best content I can. And not just what goes on in American soccer, not just what goes on with the American player domestically and abroad, but at the same time, the thoughts and the opinions of those who cover these clubs, either in a independent journalistic coverage or in the professional level. I try to give all of you that opportunity to watch now, listen, and hear their opinions. Because why? Because I want to give everyone a fair opportunity to be on this platform. Because this is what you want, what you demand. Not the same tired rhetoric, not the same shenanigans, not the same phony baloney. Once Greg Berhalter was sacked, I stopped. I don't have to bring his name back up. Even though I'm doing it now, the truth is I don't have to bring his name back up anymore. Because why? Because now the U.S. men's national team has a better head coach in Mauricio Pochettino. And the point I'm making is this, and I'm not here to take away anyone's viewership. If these are the people that you want to watch and go into, you go right ahead. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to do that because that's not fair. But I'm here to explain to all of you this. If you feel that you want more common sense, a better show that gives you what you truly want, real discussion, real conversation, real thoughts, real ideas, real anything and everything, then this is the show for you. Sure, there's Sirius XM-FC, and there are some of the great shows that are on CBS Sports Golazo Network if you watch it once again on PlutoTV.com or on, as well as Paramount Plus if you want to go that route. But what I try to do is give you common sense, smart analysis of what's going on. Because why? Because I'm not here to turn your brain into jello. I'm here to give you what you truly want. And if I'm the one that you want to watch, welcome aboard. If you want to post something in the commentary through YouTube, go right ahead. It's wide open, ready to go. Because this is a serious show. And of course, I like to have a little fun. I like to have a little fun with my guests. I like to, make them feel comfortable. I like to make them feel like they are welcomed, not only to my screen, but to your screens as well, whether it be on your laptop, on your computers, or on your smartphone web-enabled devices. The Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show is a show for all of you that wants common sense discussion. And it doesn't matter which clubs and which leagues and which competitions. They all get discussed here for you. And for you and for you and all of you. This is what I'm here for. This is why this show has been around for over a decade. 2 decades almost. I think we're in a decade and a half now. But anyway, this is why I'm here. And this is why I love doing what I'm doing. To give those content creators and to give those independent journalists and those podcast hosts for the individual clubs that opportunity to come on this show, have a sensible discussion, a serious discussion about the game and what's going on in our leagues and what's going on with our national team, both the men and the women. We have a Club World Cup coming up. We have a Gold Cup coming up. World Cup qualifying will begin very soon, next month. It's going to restart. I'm going to try and work on something, if I can, for that show, for a preview and review. And then, of course, when September, October, November hits, look out. Here it comes. Should be exciting. Should be a lot of fun. I cannot wait to see what will happen here when we get to the FIFA World Cup itself next summer in 2026. But once again, not only do I do this for myself, I do this for you. I not only do this show for my colleagues, I do this for you. For the game in this country. I may not be ESPN FC. I may not be Morning Footy. I may not be the State of the Union podcast by Alexi Lawless. I may not be the Locker Room on beIN Sports. I might not be NBC soccer podcasts like the two Robbies. But this is a serious show. This is a serious show about the game on a level where I believe I am at that level with everyone else. So please, whether you're going to watch me live or you're going to watch me on record, on archive, please do so. Come on over and have fun. I want to thank my guests tonight. I want to thank Michael McColl from Away from the Numbers in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Michael Batista from thecup.us and other websites covering American soccer locally and abroad. Don't forget, noontime tomorrow on Tuesday, May the 6th, noontime tomorrow. Leeds United TV broadcaster Bryn Law, a Wrexham Welsh native, will be joining me to talk about the miraculous run that Wrexham AFC is having as they have been promoted for the third time, continued straight seasons, 3 straight seasons of promotion. They're going to the EFL Championship League. And then next week, Open Cup Round 4 review and another regular show. My name is Daniel Feuerstein. Thank you very much for watching me tonight. I hope you all have a very good evening. And as always, please enjoy your football. Thank you. Take care. So long and have a good night. Bye-bye for now. Have a good night, everybody. See you tomorrow at noon. And bring that sandwich over. Call a pizza. Jersey Mike subs. Maybe Subway. Payway. just salads. Salad works. Bring your lunch. Watch me tomorrow at noon for lunchtime. Bye-bye for now, everyone. Thank you again for watching.